capture or kill them. And that's the best we can do.
Omar is believed to be holed up in the Baghran area northwest of Kandahar. Afghan troops say negotiations for his surrender could be finished in the next 2 days. But bin Laden has vanished without a trace. Tonight, we'll ask Major Andy Messing what the Pentagon can do to capture Omar and bin Laden and what may be in store if the war on terror moves to Somalia. We'll also have the story of a U.S. Secret Service agent, one of President Bush's security detail. He's of Middle Eastern descent, and he was kicked off an American Airlines flight by the pilot. Now, he wants an apology. We'll ask attorneys Jonathan Turley and Sohail Mohammed whether racial profiling is just something we're all going to have to live with in this strange new world of ours. Plus, as the economy here at home teeters, we'll ask Howard Fineman whether President Bush is doing enough on the domestic front. And on Capitol Hill, Senator Tom Daschle's office was shut down today after receiving a suspicious package. The package contained a threatening letter and a white powdery substance. Initial tests for anthrax came back negative. But we begin tonight with the latest on the war in Afghanistan and the Pentagon's plans for what comes next. Here's NBC's Jim Miklaszewski.
Based on intelligence that Osama bin Laden himself may have been there, the U.S. launches a ferocious attack against an al-Qaeda complex in Afghanistan. 4 Navy F-A-18s and 4 B-1 bombers pounded the target, dropping as many as 100 2,000-pound bombs. An AC-130 gunship then moved in close for the kill against the terrorist compound outside Khost near the Pakistan border.
It was a fairly extensive compound, had a base camp, a training facility, and some cave pieces to that.
U.S. officials tell NBC News within the past 24 hours, a Predator drone spotted a convoy with heightened security at the complex, the same kind of security that normally surrounds Osama bin Laden. Although bin Laden himself was not spotted, additional intelligence reports indicate he may have been at the scene. It's the same al-Qaeda compound bombed by the U.S. in 1998. U.S. officials are certain al-Qaeda leadership were killed in the attack, but won't know if bin Laden was among them until U.S. Special Forces get on the scene to inspect the site. In fact, the exact whereabouts of bin Laden and Taliban leader Mullah Omar remains a mystery.
We're looking for them. We intend to find them, and we intend to capture or kill them. And that's the best we can do.
But sources tell NBC News 2 more al-Qaeda prisoners, one of them a top leader, are in custody tonight, headed for the USS Bataan in the Arabian Sea. Some prisoners will be transferred to the U.S. Naval Base at Guantanamo, Cuba, within days. And in anticipation of even more prisoners, the Pentagon is considering opening a second detention facility, this at the former naval base in Charleston, South Carolina. Mike?
Jim Miklaszewski at the Pentagon, thanks very much. As the bombs continue to fall in Afghanistan, plans are being made for the next phase of the military operation. NBC Chief Foreign Affairs Correspondent Andrea Mitchell joins us now from the State Department. Andrea.
Hi, exactly right. What we've learned from U.S. officials is that reconnaissance planes from the United States, from France, and from Great Britain are now increasing their sorties over Somalia. They're looking closely at Somalia, Mike, because they believe that there are terrorist camps. They are a homegrown group known as the AIAI with strong links to al-Qaeda. In fact, they do believe that some mid-level al-Qaeda operatives are harbored there, but not bin Laden or any of his top people. Mike?
Andrea, given our ugly history with Somalia that you're familiar with, certainly, who would take the lead in any future engagement with Somalia? Would it be state or defense?
Well, it clearly would be the Pentagon, and it would be partly based on their belief that this group, AIAI, is getting weapons and money from bin Laden, that they were believed to have been involved in that attack, the fatal attack, as you referred to it, on the 18 U.S. Army Rangers in Mogadishu in 1993. And it would also be as a preventive in case this is going to be the next base for bin Laden's operation, because they do believe that Somalia is the top on the list, if you will, of where Osama bin Laden would try to escape if he has survived the attack so far.
Are they giving you any sense of a timetable yet?
No, they're being very, very, very secretive about that, as you would expect. In fact, when Rumsfeld was asked that question earlier today, he said that anyone who says they know doesn't, and anyone who does know and talks about it is violating federal law, because it's a criminal offense to even talk about such top-secret operations. I don't sense that it's imminent, but I do think that if there's any place that that's rich in targets, as officials told me today, it is Somalia. And it would clearly be someplace that the United States could attack without getting too much outrage from the rest of the Arab and Muslim world.
Andrea Mitchell, as always, thanks very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Major Andy Messing is retired from the United States Special Forces. He joins us this evening. Major Messing, before we get to the topic of Somalia, what do we do in Afghanistan if Muhammad Omar does not surrender? What do we do militarily?
Well, he could escape, but the fact remains is I think that we're starting to play the game smarter and going with developing intelligence rather than just acting viscerally. Now that we're starting to get into the game of using our head instead of just our brawn, we're going to get closer and closer to both Omar and Osama bin Laden. I think the modus operandi is, especially with conventional forces in support of special operations instead of the reverse, is clearly the way we should go now, and it'll be less costly. You know, instead of spending $200 million a day, we'll be spending $25 million a day.
Major, what do you mean when you say we're now getting smarter about this, using our head rather than our brawn? Can you spell that out a bit for me?
Well, I mean, clearly the first 3 months of the conflict was hammer the hell out of them with a sledgehammer, and now we're getting into surgical techniques which will wind up being done in accordance with developed intelligence. And that's the smart way to do it. The president outlined that in the first 5 days. He said patience, different type of war, and you know, it's a worldwide war. And we have to keep those three concepts, those principles in mind when we're talking about a war on terrorism. It's very different than anything we've done before. So
you know, given your background, you're a
Yes.
military man, and given your knowledge of Afghanistan and the way we're going about fighting this war, how comfortable would you feel being on the ground over there, having the Afghans negotiate this guy's surrender when they might, in effect, be giving him enough time to, as you pointed out earlier, escape? How comfortable would you be as an American soldier?
well, any time that we let a second party do something that we should be doing, we're designing a failure scenario. So I think the more engaged we are, the better off we are. Actually, I think there's three objectives. You outlined two objectives before. Get Osama bin Laden, get Omar, and the third objective is to eradicate entirely the $3 billion poppy industry that produces the heroin and hashish that's going to Europe and other parts of the world. That should be a primary objective. The interim government of Afghanistan is not going to like it because that's a major source of income for that country, but it'll alleviate tens of thousands of deaths in the future and take away a lot of the wind under the sails of terrorism.
Well, do you figure that the insertion of the 101st Airborne to replace Marine components is part of that long-range process to get rid of the poppy fields?
I don't know if they've been tasked for that, but clearly we should be thinking about how to eradicate, bring over spray planes and put tebutyron or whatever it takes into that particular area to eradicate poppy, because that is a major cause of death in Europe, even in Russia. One of the reasons the Russians wanted to get involved is because they got heroin coming into Moscow right out of Afghanistan. So you have to understand there's other objectives here, and us going over into Somalia, I'm not. This has to be shown to me what the this link that they're trying to put with Al Qaeda right now. It's a nebulous link at best.
Major Andy Messing, thanks very much. As Andrea Mitchell told us, we were talking about Somalia a couple of minutes ago. Ken Menkhaus was an advisor to the United Nations operation in Somalia. And he joins us tonight. Mr. Menkhaus, what is there for target availability in Somalia?
Well, I'm actually a bit perplexed at the notion that there are targets in Somalia. There are no discrete terrorist camps there, nothing that a conventional military bomb, for instance, would hit. The radical Islamists, Al-Ittihad, have for years adopted a strategy of integrating into local communities. So the only kind of operation that I could foresee would be, first of all, monitoring and surveillance, which is self-evident, interdiction policies, monitoring the movement of ships in and out of the country to make sure al-Qaeda elements aren't trying to flee there, and then possibly 1 or 2 instances of a plucking of an individual whom we believe is closely linked to al-Qaeda.
I mean, it's sort of, you know, to put it in Yogi Berra's phrase, deja vu all over again. This is another small, poor country with a large Muslim population, many tribal components, all of them at war with one another, many of them armed with weapons that they got from the Cold War, but a collective dislike of the United States of America. Somalia, not Afghanistan. What are we doing?
Well, I'm not sure that there's a collective dislike of the United States there. In fact, I think that's an open question. These are people who are potentially our friends if we play our cards right there.
How do we do that? How do we play our cards right? We didn't in 1993.
One of the things that I think we need to do is think about a policy of constructive engagement with some of the power brokers in the country, including, for instance, the business community, who know what things are being moved in and out of the country, who know who's calling whom. They're very pragmatic. We've got carrots as well as sticks in our toolbox, and we need to start thinking beyond just use of the military. There are going to be situations as we expand this war on terrorism where increasing the military is going to be a limited tool. Just because we own the biggest hammer in the world doesn't mean all the world is a nail.
So can you give me 1 or 2 examples of how we get smart in Somalia if we end up going there in some way and avoid another Black Hawk Down in October 1993 with 18 dead? 2 or 3 things. What do we do?
Well, again, one of the things we do is we start establishing relations with local authorities. There's a lot of different local authorities there. There is no unified state. As you know, it's still a collapsed state. They are lining up. Virtually every village and town in Somalia has established an anti-terrorist task force in the hopes that we will provide them some support, and if, in fact, a non-Somali radical were to flee to Somalia, they would be delighted to turn them over, and we need to prepare the groundwork for that. If we create enemies there by dropping bombs or by moving in very hostile operations, they're going to be less likely to cooperate with us.
How active do you figure the al-Qaeda network is within Somalia?
Well, this is also somewhat perplexing to hear al-Ittihad considered synonymous with al-Qaeda. It is not. It is a Somali Islamic organization that's trying to prepare the groundwork in Somalia for an Islamic state. It has some associations with al-Qaeda, but the significance of those associations is very much in dispute. Most of what they've done in the past 10 years has been essentially focused on a domestic agenda. So I think we need to be very careful about considering the two one and the same. They're not.
Ken Mankoff, thanks very much. In another world hotspot, U.S. envoy Anthony Zinni is heading back to the Middle East to try and restart the peace process. Israel has eased its restrictions on 5 West Bank towns, but Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon says Israel won't return to the bargaining table until Yasser Arafat clamps down even harder on Islamic fundamentalist terrorists. Israeli Consul General Alon Pincus joins us now from New York. Mr. Ambassador, could you please tell me what difference, if any, other than height, there is between Yasser Arafat and Osama bin Laden?
Well, the height factor appears to be a crucial issue, but besides the fact, Arafat is the leader of the Palestinians, and we have entered a peace process with him 8 years ago. In terms of what this gentleman has done in the last 8 years, compared to Osama bin Laden, you may be right, and there is a point. Both are behaving as terrorists, both are responsible for terrorism, and both are not exactly your liberal Democrats with which you can negotiate. Having said that, Mike, we need to negotiate with the Palestinians. We live with the Palestinians. We border the Palestinians. There are 3.2 million Palestinians with which we're going to have to coexist, or at least cohabit in the foreseeable future, and I'm talking hundreds and thousands of years, unlike Osama bin Laden, who waged war against an entire civilization.
So in the very recent past, we have had George Mitchell, George Tenet, and now General Anthony Zinni, more or less a 21st century version of shuttle diplomacy. This is an exhausting process. What prospects are there now that General Zinni would have any more success than anyone else had in the recent past?
It's a good question. I wish I had a definitive and conclusive answer for you. Unfortunately, I do not. The fact of the matter is that in the last several weeks, Arafat and the Palestinian Authority did clamp down on the fundamentalists, i.e. Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. What they did not do, what he failed to do, and what he is at this point unwilling to do, is to dismantle the infrastructure that breeds terrorism. He has taken off an entire layer of terrorists off the street. Incidentally, he's caught the guppies, not the sharks. So let's not mistake the achievement, and let's not enlarge the accomplishment. It is not that large.
Is there any fear within the Israeli government or of a sense that someday the United States might say, look we're tired of the both of you constantly bickering and killing one another, and we're going to come in and impose a peace. We're going to impose a peace on the Palestinians and the Israelis. Is there any fear that that might happen ever?
Well, I don't think it's realistic. I think the United States will never come up with a solution like that. And I don't think you can impose a solution on two parties. And I think that we need to remind ourselves and indeed your viewers that it's not as if this is an equal footing situation or a balanced formula. On the one hand, you have a democracy, an open society, a state that is ruled by law with human rights, civil rights, women's rights, and due process of law. And on the other hand, you have, unfortunately, because they had ample opportunities to change and to develop, but they have not, you have the Palestinians, which is a ragtag quasi-state political entity that lacks the rights, lacks the due process, lacks the political procedures and processes and the institutions. And so imposing a solution on two so profoundly different societies, so profoundly different political systems, I think is unrealistic. And I think that in that respect, the U.S. has always sided with Israel, not on the merits of who's right and who's wrong and what the contours of the solution need to be, but rather on the values and the merits of a sister democracy.
One last question before we let you go. What's the rationale for keeping Yasser Arafat under house arrest? If you want this process to work, why are we treating him right now as a prisoner in his own property?
Well, lo and behold, even as a house prisoner, he succeeded in doing things in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he has not even tried to do when he was free and roaming the land and the world, for that matter. He is not a prisoner. He is confined to Ramallah at this point. We feel that unless he is in the West Bank, nothing will be done in the West Bank in terms of clamping down on the fundamentalist extremists and on the network of terrorist cells. And I truly think that he's not a prisoner in the sense that he's trying to portray it, but we're applying the same pressure that we expect the entire world to apply on him to get your act together or be gone.
Alon Pincus, thanks very much. Up next, Iran's role in the war on terrorism and new reports that al-Qaeda representatives tried to arrange a meeting between Osama bin Laden and Iranian government officials. And later, an Arab-American Secret Service agent is thrown off an American Airlines flight. Is racial profiling a necessary evil in this post-9/11 world? You're watching Hardball.
Afghanistan. Take a look at what's changed and find out why some things haven't changed a bit. Ashley Banfield's Afghan Journal. Tonight at 10, only on MSNBC.
They both worked hard. Took care of business. Took care of their families. So why will one leave his loved ones with every advantage, while the other leaves everything to chance? Some people already know our financial representatives excel at a lot more than life insurance. Northwestern Mutual Financial Network. Are you there yet?
When the genius of John Nash was pushed to the edge,
talk to me. Tell me what happened.
no one believed he would make it back.
He has lost his grip on reality.
But in the fight of his life,
You can't reason your way out of it.
why not? Why can't I? He will achieve the impossible. Nominated for 6 Golden Globes, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor. 4 stars, a triumph for director Ron Howard. A Beautiful Mind, rated PG-13. Now playing in select theaters. Opens tomorrow everywhere.
ignition. And liftoff.
The new 255 horsepower Nissan Maxima.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, that's our loan package. Any questions?
Applying for a second mortgage to consolidate bills doesn't have to be difficult or time-consuming.
Excuse us.
Just log on or call Ditech.com and apply for a second mortgage with a no closing cost option. It's fast and easy.
Oh, lost another loan to Ditech.
Apply online or call us now at 1-800-71-FIX.
MSNBC. How did they get to be the leader in cable news in 2001? They were everywhere. For 365 non-stop, round-the-clock days, they brought you the big stories first.
A major breaking development in this.
They broke new ground when Decision 2000 turned into Indecision 2001.
A Bush victory.
Stood strong with every American as we watched our world change forever. And stepped up to the plate when you really needed information or wanted to be safe at home. MSNBC, the right people, the big stories, the best news on cable, enough said. So 2002, bring it on. The people at MSNBC all ready for whatever comes next. See, that's why they're the leader in cable news. America at War with Lester Holt, live weeknights at 11 on MSNBC. If you want the best news, this is the one to watch. Brian Williams, The News with Brian Williams. The best news on cable, tonight at 8 on MSNBC.
The New York Times is reporting that representatives from al-Qaeda tried to arrange a meeting between Osama bin Laden and officials from Iran back in 1995. The Times report cites classified intelligence documents that suggested bin Laden wanted to join forces with Iran to launch terror attacks against American targets. The head of Iran's foreign ministry has denied the report. Joining us now, Michael Ledeen, an Iranian specialist with the American Enterprise Institute. That meeting, we were just talking off camera, spell it out for me what you think the Times report was about.
It's a scene from The Godfather. It's the meeting of the five families. All the terrorist organizations were there, and the terror countries were all there. And Sudan was a place that they routinely used to meet and exchange information and plot out schemes with one another and work out ways they could cooperate. So it really is, if you think of it as all the crime families coming together to decide who was going to divvy up the various businesses and ways in which they could work together and help one another. That's pretty much what you're talking about.
And what's the principal objective of all these crime families led by bin Laden? Is it to kill us?
Yes, kill Americans.
So what are we doing now? The United States, we're playing footsie again with Iran. Has everybody, do you figure, forgotten the Khobar Towers and Iranian complicity in that bombing?
Right, and the Marine barracks in Lebanon and Hezbollah and all those hostages tortured to death, and on and on and on. Iran is the mother of terrorism. Iran's the driving force of world terrorism.
So why do we have them all of a sudden on our dance card?
Because at the moment it's convenient if they're going to give us information that we think is good and useful. We're not ready to deal with Iran yet. But I mean, I don't understand why not. It seems so easy. Iran is ready to blow up. The Iranian regime knows that it's hated by upwards of 90% of the Iranian people. They demonstrate in the streets all the time. Members of parliament are resigning in protest over this government, which even they can't stand
anymore. Not getting killed by the government?
No, no.
Things have changed, I guess, huh?
The government, this is an insecure regime.
Why would Iran want to deal with us? Why would the mullahs who run things in Tehran want to deal with us now?
Because if they can get a wink or a nod or a nudge or a handshake or something from us, they can then go to the Iranian people and say, you see, we're kosher, we're legitimate. The Americans work with us. The Americans like us. We are the source of legitimacy that they are looking for right now. And the greatest risk that our policymakers run right now on Iran is giving something that can be misinterpreted as an embrace by the Iranian people, because that would discourage them.
And what would that be? Like, what would they consider like an embrace? What would be a mistake?
Well, if we had some kind of cooperative effort, together in Afghanistan, for example. I mean, we have to deal with them in some sense because they're on the same humanitarian committees that we're on in Afghanistan to get food to refugees and so on and so forth. But if we came out and said, We think that, we can work with the Iranian government, or we're grateful to the Iranian government for its help in fighting terrorism. That would really be bad.
How good do you figure Iranian intelligence operatives are with regard to ferreting out information about al-Qaeda's plans in the future or al-Qaeda's present status?
I think they're fabulous, because they've been working with al-Qaeda all these many years, so they know as much as anybody.
So obviously then the objective would be for us to co-opt them and use these intelligence sources. Can we do that? Would they do that with us?
I suppose it all depended on how desperate they thought they were and what they could get out of it from us. You never get anything from Iran without paying a price for it. We never got a hostage out of Lebanon from the Iranians unless we paid missiles or money or intelligence or something for it. So it's always a big price.
So you were talking a couple of minutes earlier, Michael, about, the government's unstable, they're in trouble. Coca-Cola is now in Tehran.
Right.
Obviously, something else to follow.
Not just Coca-Cola. Baywatch is in Tehran. I mean, all those satellite dishes all over Iran.
Victoria's Secret is there?
Yes.
That clearly means the end of the clerics.
Well, we'd hope. But, all the president has to do, if he would just stand up, or the Secretary of State, and say what any normal American would say about Iran, which is, we share the desire of the Iranian people for freedom. We don't like this unelected regime that's been oppressing Iran for all these years. They're shutting down every newspaper in the country. They're trying to take down all these satellite dishes. They're trying to deprive their people of access to even the most fundamental information about the world. And we're with the people of Iran. It would just have a devastating effect.
And we want to kill the people who did the Khobar Towers.
We sure do.
Michael Ledeen, thanks very much. Up next, one of the president's Secret Service agents gets thrown off a commercial flight. Was it a case of mistaken identity or racial profiling? And later, Newsweek's Howard Feynman. You're watching Hardball.
The couch. When you've got the flu, it's so far away. Get there with Advil Flu and Body Ache. It's got the strength of Advil, so nothing works harder on body aches and fever, plus a decongestant. Fight the flu with Advil Flu and Body Ache.
There are many good reasons to get a home security system from ADT.
We're home. This is where we live.
Some smaller than others. So it's no surprise that more Americans choose ADT to help protect their homes than any other company. We're always there, with the most sophisticated technology and skilled professionals, helping to keep you safe from burglary, fire, flood, even carbon monoxide. ADT blankets your home with an invisible wall of protection. And now you can get ADT installed from just $99. Call 800-ADT-ASAP or an ADT authorized dealer. You could also save up to 20% off your basic homeowner's insurance. At ADT, we give you more than a security system. We give you a feeling of security, no matter what.
Yeah, he's got you.
Call now and get ADT installed from just $99, plus up to 20% off your basic homeowner's insurance. ADT, always there.
Hi, I'm Wilford Brimley, and I've had diabetes for about 20 years. I stay active and I feel pretty good most of the time. See, I do a few simple things now. I'm not perfect, but I try and watch my diet and exercise, and I check my blood sugar. And I get all my diabetic testing supplies from Liberty Medical. If you're 65 or over and on Medicare, call Liberty. They can help you live a better life. Hundreds of thousands of people trust Liberty. They're the nation's leader in home delivery of diabetic testing supplies. Bring everything you need right to your door. Fill out your insurance forms, even bill Medicare or your insurance company, and you pay no money up front. Oh, and they carry all the brands. If you have diabetes, you check your blood sugar and you check it off, and there's no reason not to. And call Liberty. They can help you live a better life.
For more information on free home delivery, call toll-free 1-800-504-9750.
What does it take to be the leader? You have to be there. Ashley Banfield. Wherever the story goes, she's there. See why the New York Times calls her the most talked about news personality. Ashley Banfield. One more reason MSNBC is the leader in cable news.
Every Sunday at 8 on MSNBC's National Geographic Explorer. Travel with the world's most renowned filmmakers on a weekly expedition of amazing discovery. Explorer puts you in the middle of the action, on the front lines, off the map, and into the wildest reaches of the natural world. National Geographic Explorer. 16 years experience, 42 Emmy Awards, one place to watch. Explorer. Every Sunday night at 8, only on MSNBC.
Don't just sit there. Start shopping. Click on to shopnbc.com/NBC Store and check out the NBC Store online.
You've come to the right place.
Featuring hundreds of items from your favorite NBC shows, from ER to NBC Sports, and much more. Plus, exclusive NBC videos and CDs. Tons of great gifts for kids and adults.
Right this way.
So click on to shopnbc.com/NBC Store. The NBC Store online.
On Christmas Day, an armed Secret Service agent assigned to President Bush was pulled off an American Airlines flight while he was on the way to the Westin White House in Crawford, Texas. The airline said it was suspicious of his identification. The agent, who happens to be an Arab American, said he was racially profiled. NBC News White House correspondent Campbell Brown has more from Crawford.
The agent was supposed to take a Christmas Day flight from Baltimore to Dallas, Texas. At the airport, his attorneys claim he filled out paperwork that identified him as Secret Service, authorized to carry a weapon on board. Lawyers say he introduced himself to the pilot and crew. Shortly after taking his seat, he was asked to leave the plane for another security check. His lawyers say another passenger then watched a flight attendant rifling through the agent's bag, pulling out a Middle East history book. Both the airline and agent say the flight attendant raised concern with the pilot, who then refused to let the agent on board, treating him in a way his lawyers say was rude and demeaning.
The only reason why he wasn't allowed on that plane was because we believe, and he believes, he is an American of Arab descent.
But today, American Airlines released these statements from the pilot and another American employee claiming they could not verify the agent's identity and that his paperwork was filled out incorrectly. The pilot said the agent, quote, became very hostile with me. A statement from the airline says, quote, the company vigorously resents any suggestion of racial discrimination. American will not allow any armed individual on board if that person is angry or acting in a manner the crew believes could jeopardize the safety of the flight. But on his Texas ranch, the president just last week backed up his agent.
If he was treated that way because of his ethnicity, that will make me madder than heck.
The pilot for American Airlines has filed a complaint against the agent with the Secret Service. The Secret Service is now conducting its own investigation. Mike?
Campbell, thanks very much. Professor Jonathan Turley is a constitutional scholar at Georgetown University, and Sohail Muhammad is an immigration attorney. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Let me set this thing up in the context of someone of limited intelligence, looking at this myself, and here's my view, that you have someone of Middle Eastern descent who seems to have credentials as a law enforcement officer. He has a handgun. He apparently has books that look like they might be written in some Middle Eastern language, and he is trying to board an American Airlines plane, the same company that had two planes, right into the World Trade Center on September 11th. Is this racial profiling, or is it common sense?
Well, it might not be racial profiling at all. I mean, this is not a case
on selling or where to buy the new 2002 entertainment book. Call 570-2771.